Welcome back to Valley Boys TCG. CK here, and we finally got some locals gameplay for the Godzilla card game. I will be playing a Blue Evolution Destoroyah with Biollante build on the left, and my opponent is a new player here on the right side, playing primarily the -1 starter deck with a couple of additions from a few booster packs. So here you see they just start off with the Invade 1 and then advance to Area 3, end of turn. And our first turn is actually, we decide to do essentially nothing. We think about the invasion, and then we decide, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and build and not give them anything to build anything in their area yet. So instead we decide just to pass. We go into counter, nothing done, and we just advanced one step. So I think, especially for a defensive play or playing blue or going for the counter victory, I think taking it a little easy and letting it build up is a good way to do it. And my opponent decides to match me at that and decides to do nothing for their turn and just advance to 4. But now that they're in 4, we can go ahead and start playing some cards here. As you'll see, 4 is a great spot to start playing a lot of things, especially for this build. So we dropped the Destoroyah aggregate form in Area 8 because we want to set something in Area 8, and then we finally go ahead and use an invasion here. Now, the Godzilla 2000 Stage 1 that we have does have the effect when invading to destroy something that is a 4-cost battle card or lower. And you see we already set up the Biollante Rose form, and then we rage twice and end our turn. Now, our counter power is only at 5,000. Our opponent still has 6,000 threat, so we do nothing there to counter, but we draw back up to our 5 and pass turn. So our opponent sees our board already set up, so he's going to have to start making some moves here. And then we forget to advance end of turn, but we catch it there, so we advance to 4 where we should be. They start off by playing reinforcements, getting some battle cards of their own. Unfortunately for them, reinforcements is a fork drop, and that will allow us to invade next turn and destroy it. So they rage up 1, and we go ahead and compare. Since we rage twice, yes, the Godzilla 2000 has a very low threat level to start off with. That's why we double rage there. So we are big enough, even with their awakening, putting their reinforcements at 5,000, which is our base threat level, we have enough to survive a counter there. So now we go ahead, start our turn. We draw for turn, and then we trigger our evolution. We get into the flying form. And so we have 2 evolutions on board. We decide to go ahead and use the evolution of Destoroyah first so that we can draw and trash. Because when it enters by evolution, you get to draw 2, trash 2, and we actually have about 3 8-drop Destoroyahs in hand, so we want to get those in trash already to clear them out of hand and get them back into the deck using the Biollante Plant Beast form here. So we trigger our second evolution, we go into the Plant Beast, and now we can get those Destoroyahs that were in our hand into trash thanks to the flying form, and then Plant will get them back into the deck where they will be useful for us next turn. So now that we've done that, we've shuffled to let our opponent cut, and then we go ahead and continue our turn. Now we're looking good to get the early counter here because our opponent is only at 11,000 threat, and we just need to commit something else to board because we're currently at 10,000 counter power. So we need to get one more battle card on board to go ahead and counter them. Now, even though counter won't move them from the area they're at, it will allow us to start drawing more cards at the start of turn. So here we toss a strategy card to advance. We will use the effect when advancing to destroy that reinforcements on board. And then we drop another aggregate form. This will put our counter power at 13. And we decide to go ahead and double rage again because being a base threat of 5,000, we are pretty easy to be countered. And so now at counter step, we see that our counter is big enough to counter them, and they will enter their stage 2. And we'll draw back up to 5 and pass back turn. And of course, we need to advance there. We always forget that advanced step. We may need to make sure not to forget that advanced step because it does make a big difference in what our opponent can do. So always make sure that you don't forget to remind your opponent to advance. So here we see the invade. This way they can trigger their stage 2. The invasion effect of Godzilla 2023 is when invading, you get to search your deck for a stage 3 with burst. So they've drawn the burst stage 3 Godzilla. Luckily there's still some in deck because we saw early they did have to, or they did I believe toss 2 of them already for their rage early in this game. So luckily there's still some in deck for them to search, because the starter deck, this is the only searchable one, because the other stage 3 or level 3 with burst for Godzilla 2023 is in the booster packs. And so we go ahead and remind them they forgot to reset the rage, but since they did enter a monster, they gain that rage back anyway, so it all works out in the end. But again, this is early on. These were newer players. This was their first time here at this local, so it was great to have them out with us. You know, love to see the community grow. I know that the Godzilla card game is very tricky to find locals, so for those of you that are successful in getting your locals running, kudos to you. It took me a while to get our play group growing, but we finally have enough to start getting some locals going. I believe this was our 3rd locals tournament, and we had 2 new players this time around. So since we're at Area 7, he's able to start playing these Godzilla 2023 battle cards. And I think this is one of the things that's kind of confusing in the card game, is that Godzilla 2023 is both a monster and a battle card. But you see their counter power is at 17. We're only at a 15 threat level, so they do have enough counter to counter us, and we will move on into our stage 2, which will be Godzilla 89 stage 2 form. And then we remind them that the burst does go away because it was a burst and not a straight enter effect, so he does go back to his form at end of turn. So when you burst, remember that you do go back to your form at the end of the turn that you bursted. It doesn't stay until the end of your opponent's turn, which is an issue because this stage 2 Godzilla 23, yes, you bursting gets you a free rage, but it's only an 8,000 threat level base, which is very low for a stage 2. So already just on board, we are basically threatening the counter. We do our evolution and we decide we don't have a strategy, a Godzilla versus Destoroyah strategy card in trash we want to use. So instead we go ahead and evolve into the starter deck one because it has a much higher counter power and basically counters all on its own here. But we go ahead and toss to invade twice. We toss one of those strategy cards so that in case we want to get into another Destoroyah next turn, we can utilize that. We rage twice, and yeah, we toss that strategy because I believe we're going to try to commit a flying form. Yeah, we want the flying form on board so that next turn we can go ahead and go into the booster set Destoroyah, which when entered through evolution will let us get that strategy card back from trash and play it for free. Or play it from trash. I guess technically everything is played for free, right? It just depends on where you are. And so we have successfully countered and pushed them into their Godzilla 2023 Stage 3. Or Level 3, I should say. And now we are threatening... remember, blue is most threatening when they are sitting at Area 7 because blue has access to the Burning Godzilla strategy card, which will just nuke anything from where they are. It is a 7 cost strategy, but as long as you're in Area 7, you can play it. So right now, he really has to counter us because we are... anytime you leave blue at Area 7, it is a problem. And unfortunately, he cannot commit any more battle cards to the field. He doesn't have any more battle cards to play, so he cannot counter us. And you see there, we draw into the Godzilla. So instead of triggering our evolution, we just go ahead and reset our board, and we just show hand here that, hey, we have the Burning Godzilla's Rampage, which will clear Area 7, or Area 8, I should say, which will clear Area 8, and we just have to do an invade 2, and that is the invasion victory. Thank you guys for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the gameplay. Hope you come back next time.